Hey guys, I want to introduce the collaborative technical document assignment that we are going to start this week, but it's not going to be due until the end of the semester. I want to start by saying that this is a group project. Part of your grade is an individual grade that you will earn through email collaboration, and the other part of your grade is the grade that the entire group gets for the output or the final document. I know that team projects are not always loved by all students. It's pretty much unavoidable. You will likely always at some point be working with someone else. So that's really the point of this. It's one of the SLOs or the objectives of the course. And so I recognize that it's not always ideal, but no, you can't get out of it unless you have a really, really, really good reason. So probably nothing, but email me if you do have a concern. All right, so I'm going to work through this assignment sheet. Hopefully I'm going to get this done in under 15 minutes, but we will see. All right, the collaborative technical document is only 10% of your grade. It's 100 points. Now, considering this video is being recorded in June of 2020, so we are really in a situation where team projects are being handled from like a distance. Not most of the teams that are working together currently, especially in like big business where that's feasible, the team members are working remotely and have to communicate in the way that you all will as well. So I think that even in an online class, team projects are helpful and they can teach you, where your strengths lie. So we are practicing that in this class. The scenario we're in here is that you've been assigned a small team for a company that's working to increase the database of visual aids and infographics for company use. So essentially that's what I'm going to have you guys put together as a team, is a one-page informative visual document. You can call this an infographic. I think that's probably the best way to think of it. This is also going to get us good practice for the infographic that you'll have to do for your final project. That's an individual thing. So what you will do is, after you're finished reviewing this assignment sheet, watching this video, I want you to go check your emails. The first thing I'm going to do when I wake up on Wednesday morning is send you all an email, and that will be a team email. From there, I will go ahead and give you a prompt for you all to discuss and get started for week 3's team email. And what you'll have to first do as a team is identify your strengths and, more importantly, pick a topic. So as I move along in the assignment sheet here, the topic that your team selects should be tangentially related to one of our ethical challenge discussion boards this semester. So a couple of things. Tangentially related, I just mean like any of our ethical challenges should inspire the topic for your infographic. I'll give some examples on that in just a minute. Also, I recognize that obviously in week 3, we haven't gone through every single of the ethical challenges because we're going through them throughout the whole semester. But in the course calendar, you do have access to all of the page numbers. Reading the ethical challenge prompts and scenarios take just a couple of minutes. So you can start there just by reviewing what all of the ethical challenges are to see which one inspires an idea for you. When you are putting your infographic together, you want to make sure that it includes at least 2 references of research that you use to compile the information. So here is an example with some of the things that we've already talked about so far. So if you remember that ethical challenge with Mary, who worked at the bank, should she be able to use her personal email, or should she be able to use her work email and work laptop for the association business that's questionably affiliated with the bank? So some topics that could be, again, inspired by or tangentially related to this ethical challenge would be an infographic of how to set up a personal email account. best practices for your association, things to remember when sending an email, or even charity fundraiser ideas. All of those topics were found present within that ethical challenge, and so you could create an infographic on any one of those. Another example is with the ethical challenge with Shelley from page 260 and the list of questions, are these okay to ask in an interview or not? You could create an infographic that says something like top 5 illegal interview questions, how to know if the job is right for you, or how to prepare for a job interview. So again, those things aren't 100% exactly related to Shelley's situation, but they're inspired by that ethical challenge. And so really you have a ton of freedom here. I just want to give you, because there's so many things you could pick for an infographic, I feel like that gives us the Netflix dilemma of there's so many things to pick. It takes us a really long time to figure something out. And then by the time we maybe make a decision, it's time for bed anyway. So we never end up watching anything. So I don't want you guys to have to deal with that. That's why I'm kind of saying, make sure that whatever you pick is inspired by an ethical challenge. So I feel like I've covered this information. So collaboration requirement. This is a team assignment, and I don't want to just assign this as a team and push you guys away and say, okay, go work on it, and then bring it back to me in the last week of the semester. So what I'm going to do, send you an email. I will send you an email in week 3, 4, 5, and 7. We'll skip week 6. And I will prompt communication for your group. I have a timeline below that'll go through kind of like what to expect from me for each week. All that I ask is, as you guys are communicating with each other via email, make sure that you reply all so that everyone is included in the communication. You can, of course, communicate through other channels if you and your team decide to share text message information or whatever. That's fine. I don't need to see that. I just need to monitor the emails just so that I have something to grade in terms of individual participation. So when you are replying via email, just make sure that you always click reply all and that you see my name CC'd in that email there. Let's see. Okay, so even though about 40% of your grade is individual, if it comes to my attention that you've not done any work at all on the project, even though your name is in that group, I'm not going to give you credit for the assignment. So please make sure that you are participating and are working. I have 3 examples of what an infographic looks like. I'm guessing most of you have seen infographics in the past. I will take a look at this one, which is probably my favorite. This is like a very fun and quirky infographic, and it's a rather long one. So it provides information, but it's organized very visually, and it's quick and easy to take a look at everything. You can see how the text information relates to the visual image that you see. There are some other examples that I have here, such as something that's a little bit more like 8.5 by 11 landscape. There's an image and there's text information here. You can see that there are sources cited at the bottom. And then a third example, research ethics in Canada. This is very simplistic, not a lot of color. So I think I included this as an example also to show you that there are a lot of different ways that you can provide information in an infographic. This uses more spatial and spatial principles of visual design as opposed to graphics and things like that. And that's fine. You guys as a group can figure out, what you like the most and what's going to work the best for you. In terms of including your research, I think the infographic research citation is probably some of the simplest content that you'll find. Most infographics simply list URLs at the bottom of the document, and they just have a word that says sources and a colon, and then the list of URLs so that the reader can reference the information. You want to make sure that you include at least 2 sources. standard source finding practice apply. Make sure your sources are reliable and credible and come from trustworthy places. Of course, an infographic is meant to be published, so you want to make sure that yours is free from any kind of grammatical or technical error. However, one thing that's fine is fragment sentences. You don't have to write in fully complete sentences for an infographic because you really want to have like short bits of information so that the reader can digest it quickly. Okay, so when you're looking at a lot of examples of infographics, and especially if you are very, very unfamiliar with them, I would do a Google search of infographic images and just kind of see what they look like. You will notice some similarities. So infographics use really wise color decisions. The color scheme is unified, it's visually appealing. Sometimes infographics will only have one color with various shades or tones or hues. Sometimes they'll use like monochromatic colors, maybe that's the same thing. Sometimes it'll just be primary colors, or sometimes it'll be different like jewel tones or whatever. There are wise color decisions being made. Infographics use graphics, emojis, vectors, pictures essentially to help disseminate information quickly. And then, of course, there's some structural things, and I've got some more examples. You can have a really tall infographic, so one that you begin reading the information at the top, and by the time you get to the bottom, you've digested all the information. You can have a really wide infographic where you start on the left-hand side and then move your eye across to the right as you are getting information. You can have a non-linear design where there's usually some kind of path that winds around, and the creator of the infographic shows you visually how to digest that information. And then a lot of infographics are also circular, similar to a clock. You just start, and usually you work clockwise around that circle in order to understand the information. One thing that I love is Canva. It is a website. It's free unless you want to pay for an upgrade, which I do not recommend. I use Canva for all of pretty much designing anything that I need to create a graphic for, and I've never paid for it. I just like avoid all of the like paid graphics. You can set up an account with Canva. You can create your infographic on here. In fact, I am pretty sure that they have an infographic template that you can begin with. And y'all, that is perfectly fine with me, by the way. If you want to start your infographic once you guys come up with a topic and begin with a template and change the language or the graphics or whatever from there, that's not a problem. This is not a graphic design class, and I do not expect you all to be pros at graphic design. Obviously, what you cannot do is pick a topic that's 5 reasons to give to charity and then just simply copy and paste all of the content that's already here in Canva. You have to add your content. It has to be true to you. But these infographic templates are a great place to start if you've never created one. And this website is extremely user-friendly and things go very quickly. If you are very unfamiliar with any kind of websites like this, I would say go to YouTube and find a tutorial on how to use Canva. So Canva is a great place to get started if you've never created an infographic before, and it can really kind of help with the trickiness of using a word processing software like Google Drive or Microsoft Word. With that being said, if you please recognize, again, I do not expect you all to be perfect graphic designers. If you have a document that meets the requirements and is simplistic, that is perfectly fine with me. Just full disclosure, I do link you to Canva here on this assignment sheet. I have a Canva link. I'm not affiliated with Canva. You know how you get credits for things if other people sign up and they use your link. If you sign up with the link that I have here, and you do decide to use Canva, I will get a credit and you'll get a credit. If you don't like that, that's totally fine. Just go to canva.com and sign up unaffiliated. So again, I'm not like I don't get paid to promote this company or anything like that. I just think it's a great tool. You do not have to use Canva. You can use anything else that you are more comfortable with, or that you want to try out. So totally fine, whatever you want to do. Regarding our timeline, so we will have 4 required email correspondence weeks. Essentially, that's the opportunity for you all to talk to each other, figure out who's doing what, figure out what you want to do, share some rough drafts of content, divvy out the work, however you want to approach it. And then the assignment will be due in week 8. So on Wednesday, I will send out an email, and I will ask you all to identify your individual strengths, like that you think apply to this project. You know, what are you good at? What do you think you would like to do? If you're like me, you might be the type of person that says, I'll do whatever, I'll do anything, I'll do all of it. Scale back a little bit. Don't come off too strong right away, because maybe people will have you do everything. If you are also the type of person who is like, you know what, I don't really want to do anything, try to just sit up a little bit more and join everyone doing a little bit more work. I know there's all sorts of people out there, so try to have equal motivation for this project. I know we've talked about that before. In week 4, I will email you all again and ask that you guys communicate to identify a project plan. Week 3, you'll have suggested some ideas. So after everybody gets their ideas in week 4, you guys will pick an idea, figure out what are you going to do, decide what kind of process you want to take this team approach. Remember, chapter 1 talked about team processes. And then assign some work based on the process that you're going to establish. You guys will probably have to communicate more than I prompt you to, but this will be your opportunity to ensure the grade for this 40% of collaboration for the whole project. In week 5, again, I'll prompt you guys to check in, check your status, where's everybody at. Let's try to get some rough draft information shared. What do you have so far? In week 7, we'll have another email. We're skipping week 6 because there's another big assignment due in week 6, and I don't want to overwhelm you all. So in week 7, we'll finalize the infographic and figure out, who's going to turn it in. And then in week 8, the document will be. We have a lot of time from now, but I like for you guys to have a lot of time to work on something, because you never know where everyone stands with just the rest of their life. So let's take a look at the rubric. I think I had said 40% of your grade is collaboration, and now that I add 7 times 4, or figure that calculation out, that's not 40%, it's like 28%. So essentially 28% of your grade for this is collaboration. I think I allocated some content elsewhere. The content of your document accounts for 37%. It's like strange percentages, I know, y'all. Essentially, you pick a topic that's clearly inspired by one of the ethical challenges. Your infographic has a clear beginning and end. And your infographic is free from grammatical, technical, and content errors. Of course, you cite at least 2 sources for your infographic, and on that infographic at the bottom. 25% is design. Do you provide information in a minimalistic way, as infographics are, that's kind of how they give information, is minimally. The sources give your reader the opportunity to go and get more information, so you don't have to overdo it. Try not to pick a topic that would require you or force you to overdo it. Make sure that your color scheme is logical and it doesn't interrupt or hinder the presentation of information. Your graphics should be consistent and logical to the information presented. When I say consistent, I mean if you're using mostly shapes, use mostly shapes. If you're using actual physical pictures, then always use a picture. If you're using little vectors, always use a vector. You want to try and be as consistent as possible with your use of graphics just for uniformity across the document. Make sure your visual information is represented logically. Make sure you have a structure that is logical and intentional. What I mean by that is you don't want to just have like thrown things all around the page. Again, this brings design. I will bring it back to Canva. If this feels overwhelming, log into Canva, pick a template, and just replace that content with what you want to say. I do not consider using a software that is designed to give you free templates for something. I do not consider that plagiarism. So please recognize that that's perfectly fine with me because this is not a graphic design class. Okay. And then of course, demonstrated understanding of the assignment objectives. So the goal here is to provide information that relates to one of our ethical challenges, to create a unified document that, let's say, could be hung up in a building to provide information. Does your infographic meet that? That's 10%. It's just a basic, did you do what I'm asking you to do and does it look good? Okay, so that is everything on this assignment sheet. I hope it makes sense. I'm going to be giving you all more individualized guidance as we communicate through email. Regarding those emails, that will mostly be an opportunity for you all to communicate with each other, but that will also be a great place for me to insert information to help you. If you have questions, we'll use those group emails as a place to get those questions out there. This will help you practice your correspondence through email and all sorts of things like that. So, if you have any questions right away before I wake up and send that group email, please go ahead and send them to me, and I will address them in addition to probably readdressing that with the group. So hopefully this makes sense. If you need anything, let me know.